Happy Friday, Floss Tube. It is Friday, January 24th. My name is Caroline, and this is a Stitch With Me video. Today I'm going to be working on a project that I've been working on for a number of years, and I'm hoping to make substantial progress on it this year. Maybe even finish it this year. Wouldn't that be great? And it's called Amtrak by Cove. And you can find this pattern for sure. I know you can find it for sure on www.europeancrossstitch. I don't remember the dot. Is it .com? Finished will look like this. And so, whoops, sorry. I'll tell you about my different setup in a minute. This weekend is the hashtag 24 Hours of Cross Stitch, hosted by the wonderful Jen Lee of Corks and Stitches. And this is going to be my very first focus piece for the first part of the 24 hours. Well, frankly, most of the 24 hours. I still have about 16 hours left in my 24-hour rotation on this piece, because I have not put a single stitch into anything since Sunday. So I am so excited to get back to this. It's actually early in the morning on Friday when I'm recording this. This is my coffee and stitching time first thing in the morning. This was the only time I had to record this video. Nicholas is home with me today. He's my son. He's my 11-year-old son. And it is a PA day. So he's home with me today from school, and I've managed to occupy him for a little bit so he's quiet while I can enjoy my chat with you. So 24 hours of cross stitch this weekend, and where I'm headed next, so just off screen here, there. Since last Friday's video, I've completed a fair bit, and I talked about this on regular Monday Floss Tube, so I won't rehash it again, but isn't it pretty? It's so pretty. Oh, it's so pretty. So what I would like to focus on next is finishing up the next square, working my way out. So what I have threaded up today to work on is this mini little border that comes up to about there, and then it's got a different pattern that comes across here. So as you can see, there's a fair bit of stitching in these motifs in this border. So whether or not I'm going to be able to complete the rest of this square during my this weekend's 24 hours, what I may do is I may not move on to my other plan. If I'm still enjoying this piece, I might just complete out my full 24 hours this weekend on this piece. I'm not sure. See how I'm feeling. I don't like to be too rigid in my plans and rules, how I like to do my stitching. So if I still feel like working on this at hour 16, then I'm just going to carry on and you know, do what I feel like. However, if I'm so sick of looking at these three colors and I'm ready to move on, then I've got a few other things that I have ready and waiting. So Amtrak, Sampler Cove, I am stitching this on a 25 count even weave, one thread over one. I'm using a Hearthside Craftworks Mark II floor frame, and in episode 55 I do a pretty detailed description and showing of that of this floor frame. So I apologize for those who hear me repeat myself over and over again, but you know, let's try to remember that we always have new stitching friends coming to visit, and I get asked these questions a lot, so it's just easier for me just to mention them when I'm thinking about them, and that way it's helpful for those who are interested, because you know, you can't just assume that everybody here has been visiting me for 2.5 years. Can you believe that? 2.5 years. That's a long time to be talking about cross stitch. Okay, so I'm all ready to go up this border here. I've got my blue threaded and my red threaded. I've got 2 needle minders with me today. This one was from my friend Maria Kutzner, and this one's from my friend Gail Bello, who's they're both on the Facebook group Friday Off the Grid. These were 2 Christmas presents this year. This one is in memoriam of my golden retriever Daria. I'm not sure you can read it, might be a bit too much glare, but it says no longer by my side, but forever in my heart. So Daria was a special member of the family, and I miss her. So what else? Lots to talk about today. I'm going to start with, and I realize this is crooked, so that leads me into telling you about my new setup, because by now you've probably noticed that the sound quality is different, and I'm hoping that the picture quality is different too, because I'm using my fancy camera that I've been using for Monday Floss Tube for a while now, but I've been holding out and using my phone for the Stitch With Me videos because it was just easier to, it was an easier setup. I have a gooseneck clamp and I would just clamp the phone to it and record it. But you know, I have this beautiful camera. I love using it, so I thought surely it can't be that hard to figure out how to set this up, because I have, what do they call them? You know, the octopus clamps, the ones that are flexible. And so I have it on the little octopus tripod, and I have wrapped the legs of the tripod around my Lowry frame. So look, watch this. You can swivel because you are sitting on my Lowry frame. How fancy is that? Pretty cool, hey? So I am using both my floor frames at the same time. So we'll see. Hopefully you don't mind too much that the picture is a bit crooked, but with this fine count, I had to put it in such a way that I could actually see it well enough to stitch it while the camera was set up in position. Also, you're going to notice today that I am stitching one-handed for 2 reasons. First of all, it was better with this camera angle. I thought you could maybe see the positioning of the needle a bit better with my right hand, my left hand not covering the stitching while I'm working away. And the other reason is because I plan on stitching for 24 hours this weekend, I need to mix it up. I need to choose different ways of stitching so that I don't want to aggravate my left hand, because I've talked about it a little bit. My left hand has been bothering me since last year. When was it? March or May? I don't remember exactly when it started. I don't exactly remember what I did that triggered it, but I pulled something or something tore, something happened in my thumb. And for a long time, I just, you know, it was diagnosed as a few different things, and I don't know whether I just didn't believe it or, do you know what I mean? It's really hard to describe, but anyways, I babied it a bit, and I changed how I was doing a few things, like how I was cutting fabric. I started using a different tool to help myself cut fabric differently. There's a process in the bag making when I flip the bags back into right side out, right side in, and I have to put the lining into the pouch. And especially the Notion pouches, I was spreading open my hand like this, and I was using my thumb and my forefinger to push the corners out. And I have a funny feeling that that may have been part of the problem. I've changed how I do that. I do one corner at a time now. I also, if I'm not happy with how the corners are looking, I will, is this right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Looks good to me. Then I'll use a chopstick to poke the corner out, especially with the twill bottoms on the bigger bags. Sometimes those need a bit of extra convincing. However, it was the Notion pouches, because they're the right size for my, it was convenient, it was the right size for my fingers to do this, to spread those corners out. It just became a bit of a bad habit, I think. So the upshot of this story is that lately, I think my hand is healing. I think I'm finally on the other side of whatever I did to it about 10 months ago that initially was the initial injury. And again, I can't point to one single thing that did it, but it's starting to feel better. It's actually starting to feel better. I've been able to give John back rubs again using that hand, because he likes a firm, you know, he tends to get a sore back quite often, and one of his favorite things is a back rub. So I will, you know, give him a back massage, and he likes it with firm pressure. And I had trouble using my left hand to do that, and actually lately I've been able to do that again. I have been able to open jars that were larger than, you know, a relish jar, and apply pressure with this hand. That this motion used to send a shooting pain down my thumb, and I just realized the other day that that has gone away. So tentatively, very exciting that it seems to be healing, which makes me very, very happy. So I am aware of it all the time now when I'm working, when I, you know, am crafting, stitching, sewing, knitting, and I try to vary up my positions, basically, in a nutshell, so that I don't overdo anything in one position. So I am going to be stitching one-handed, two-handed, switching my dominant hand when I'm stitching two-handed, all those kinds of good things, because I want my hands, I want to be able to use them for a really long time. So there you go. Oh, let's see. Yeah, Friday morning. I have a fair bit of work to get to today. I've got to get to the post office, and I need to get to the grocery store, and then I need to start planning, you know, getting myself sorted out for 24 hours of cross stitch. I have a family friend coming over for dinner tonight. John is away. He is helping a friend, a good friend of ours. His father is coming home from a rehabilitation place tonight, and John has gone over to help his friend sort out his apartment where his dad is coming home to, so that it's clean and, you know, fresh groceries and, you know, a nice place to come home to. So he's a good egg, my John. So he's doing that today, and I have somebody coming over for dinner, and then once we're ready to put on our party pants later tonight, Nicholas and I will watch a movie together, and excuse me, and I'll be ready to stitch. So I have a few things lined up that I'd like to watch. I've got some headphones ready to go, and I've been listening to my current audiobook is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, which is I am fully invested in this book. This story is just it's so simply written, but the language is beautiful, and the story is it's just one of those stories that's everything. It's heartbreaking, it's funny, it's loving, it's devastating. It's a life. It's a coming of age story, and the writing, changes as the character ages. The writing changes, and it is just I'm enjoying it so much. I'm just whenever I am listening to it, I think, wow, this is really superb writing, and I'm hooked. It's a great book. And what have I been watching? Well, I finally finished season 15 of Grey's Anatomy. I just purchased the newest season of Grey's Anatomy last night. I have not watched any of it. I gather that something has happened because a few people messaged me saying, "Have you watched Grey's Anatomy?" And I said, "No, I haven't. Please don't say anything." So I would like to catch up on maybe a few episodes of that tonight and tomorrow. I have a habit of doing that. We don't have a lot of TV watching time, and frankly, there are so many things to watch. FlossTube in itself, I'm so behind on FlossTube, and there's so much that I want to watch, and audiobooks and physical books and movies and TV, and there's so much. It's a little overwhelming when you think about everything that you'd like to watch and listen to, and there's just not enough time. So I am frequently very, very, very behind. I've mentioned before that MasterChef Australia is one of our favorites. We only just, at the beginning of January, this is embarrassing, at the beginning of January, we just finished watching the latest season, which was over months and months ago. It took us almost a whole year to watch it. That's pretty, that's indicative of how we tend to watch things, because we just don't have a lot of time. So I try really hard not to talk about plot lines or things that I listen to or watch, because I'm sure there are those of you out there who are just like me, who like to start at the beginning and like to watch it on your own time when you have time, and maybe you're behind as well. And if I say anything, it might spoil something. Just like, get this. I've been watching the Good Wife on Netflix. I never watched it while it was out on TV. We haven't had cable in ages. And so I've really been enjoying The Good Wife, but I've only watched a few seasons. And I've only watched a few seasons, and I'll tell you, I had a major plot line completely spoiled watching an episode of Jeopardy. Yeah. So, and I was really mad. I was really mad because I said, oh, geez. Anyways, what are you going to do? So I was so mad. I haven't watched another episode since. But I will have to, it's a really enjoyable show. I like watching that one, so I should get back to it. Now, I'm just going to check my pattern and make sure that what I've got here is in the correct spot. So I'm just going to pause you for a minute and I'll be right back. Okay, so according to the pattern, I am not in the right, oh yes, and I bet that you all saw it. You all saw it probably 5 minutes ago, didn't you? Uh-huh. Right there. Now you're saying, finally, you found it. Good thing I stopped now and I didn't continue up to the top. Okay, so let's frog that out and try that again. Whoops. All right, I think I'm gonna have to, frog that out later because I have to take my glasses off to see that up close, to frog it out properly so that I don't tear the silk thread. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pick up my blue and I can fill in these little parts here. Do a little bit of this. My dog Luna is beside me, as always, on the couch, her favorite spot. It really has become her couch. We have to tell people who come over, you really don't want to sit on that couch. You'll end up covered in hair. She's surprisingly, for such, I mean, she has such short hair. It's surprising how much she loses. It's a completely different fur than Daria. It's a little bit thicker, coarser, and it's a bit more challenging to vacuum. So we have to really go to town on that couch when we vacuum the floor in here and go over it as well with, those lint rollers and stuff and tape and all kinds of good stuff. But lots of people wouldn't allow their animals on the couch, but our couches are really old. We have had these couches since we got married, and we've been married 22 years. 22? 23. Good Lord. That's terrible. We got married in 96, so there you go. You can do the math. And so yeah, these couches are old, and I figure that Luna at 6 years old, we've adopted a almost senior dog. She deserves to have a nice cushy retirement in her golden years. And we don't mind at all. What's a bit of hair? She gives us back quite a lot. So Daria used to sneak up on the couch occasionally, but her hair, she was happier on the floor at your feet. She wanted to be on top of your feet all the time. So she liked the couch, but it wasn't something that she was on all the time. Our beagle, Eddie, now he used to love the couch. Not just, he didn't just love the couch. He also wanted a pillow for his head. And again, Eddie was a very senior rescue, and we only had him for about 3 years. And I like the fact that he got to spend some comfy time on the couch for a few years because he was an outdoor dog for breeding purposes on a short chain we don't know how old he was, but he was at least 8. He'd spent his entire life on a very short chain, his legs were bowed. You know, it almost doesn't bear thinking about, but this poor dog had never lived inside, and he had broken, rotten teeth, and he wasn't housebroken, obviously. He had no manners, but he was the sweetest, gentlest, most timid dog, and we let him sleep on the couch whenever he wanted. So we've just kind of continued that. It's just furniture. It's old furniture, and it makes us happy. So, but we make sure our guests sit on the other cleaner couch. My brother tends to sit with the dog because he just likes to sit with the dog. So he, you know, those of you who have pets who shed a lot, you're used to the hair, right? So it's just, it is what it is. Okay, I'm going to flip this over because even though I'm not traveling very far, I'm only going from here to here, I still want to tack down the extra little bit of thread that's going to be coming from here to here, because I just find that makes it makes everything a bit more neat and tidy on the back in the long run. So let's see if I can see this well enough from this distance to do this. Not sure. Normally my face is right up close, so I think I've got it there. So there. Now it's tacked down and it's neat and tidy, and I won't have that extra little bit there. So, okay, I think my time is up. I think I can't. I have to get moving with the rest of my day now. My coffee and crafting time is over. So I will just bring my needle up there. I'm ready to go. So I'll have this video loaded for 6 p.m. tonight. I believe Ginger Gerald will have another stitch with me out tonight. I just watched his most recent floss tube this morning, early this morning while I was getting ready. Do you do that too? Do you like to put on floss tube while you're getting ready for your day? Anyways, I do. So I was having a little visit with Ginger Gerald this morning, and his stitching in this episode, it was so fun to watch because his projects are all, they're so different, but they're just so cool. So he's got a really big finish. He had a great big finish, and I'll let you go over and check that out to see what it was. Excuse me. Sorry about that. He's working on London, which is a Tia Guvner. I think that's how you say it. It's a spectacular piece. He's also working on Lady of the Flag, and what was the other one? Summer House Stitch Works. I want to say Fragments of something. It has escaped me, but his linen is so beautiful that he's doing these projects on. I'm sure they're all exclusively XJU designs, and Jukas's fabric is just so beautiful. It's just stunningly gorgeous fabric, and he's chosen a project for the fabric. Like the match between the two is very good. The fabric he's using for Lady of the Flag, it's really, really beautiful. And I think that was a special order fabric. He had her do one of her regular colorways, but darken it up a little bit, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, I think he's going to have a stitch with me out tonight, but if he doesn't, then you should check out his other floss tube. I thought that was quite good. There is another stitch with me out that came out yesterday or the day before that I've earmarked to watch tonight. Whoops, sorry. See, just knocked my frame there. Abby Bella Stitch has put out a stitch with me with, I haven't watched it yet. I don't know what the name of the project is, but I do know that it is glorious. I mean, if you don't subscribe to her, because I've subscribed to her, she comes up in my feed, and I want to watch it because the project is phenomenal. So that's Abby Bella Stitch. She's an amazing stitcher, and she's been on FlossTube for a really long time. I'm sure most of you know her. But again, that is definitely queued up for me tonight. So a few other things. It's going to be a late night. I plan on not getting a lot of sleep because I'm super excited about my 24 hours of cross stitch. And I think I'm going to take some video along the way too. And maybe I'll put out a little video on Sunday. We'll see how things go. So that's it for me today. I hope you have a wonderful Friday night. I hope I'll see you on the Friday Off the Grid Facebook group. And happy stitching. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you soon. Take care.